Hello, welcome back to the Aligned in Action podcast, and welcome to those of you watching live on Instagram. This is the first time that I'm doing this live on Instagram as well, so let's see how it goes. And today's topic is a topic very close to my heart that I am feeling right now in this very moment, and that is do it before you are ready. And as I said, I'm feeling it right now because I only have a few notes written next to me. I haven't fully planned this podcast episode out like I usually do, but I trust myself that what needs to come out will come out and you will get a lot from it. So, you already know that you are meant for more. You feel that pull, you feel that whisper telling you that there is a bigger life waiting for you, that you have barely even scratched the surface. But you are finding yourself waiting, right? You might be waiting to feel more confident. You might be waiting to feel more clear. You might be waiting for the perfect moment. But the truth is, the version of you who already has everything that you want, she didn't wait. She didn't wait to feel ready. She moved. By the end of this training, you will understand why readiness is actually a myth keeping you stuck. You will learn how to shift into the version of you who moves in full alignment, even when things feel messy and uncomfortable. And you will feel deeply connected to the version of you who already has everything that you want. And I want you to know something right now. There's already a version of you who has everything that you want. She has the business, she has a dream career, she has that fulfilling life, she's in her dream body, she is confident, she is happy, she is glowing from the inside out. And that version isn't a fantasy, she is a true possibility for you, and she exists out there. And if you listen to my second podcast episode about quantum physics, where I break down how all possibilities exist for you in one go and literally anything that's humanly possible, there is a timeline where you have achieved it. If you haven't listened to it, go ahead and listen to it. But if you listen to that, you will know that there is a timeline where you have achieved absolutely everything that you want. And every time you choose to show up as her, even when it feels uncomfortable, even when it feels messy, you collapse timelines between where you are now and where she is. Now, you have been told a lie. You have been told to wait until you're ready. That before you take action, you have to have everything figured out. You have to be more polished, more confident. Maybe you have to get more certifications, more qualifications. You have to feel fully 100% ready before you take action. But the thing is, readiness is not real. It's not a milestone. There isn't like a roadmap ahead of you where you're like, okay, certification, tick, experience, tick, da 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 da, ready, great. Now I can go ahead and start, right? It's not a thing. Readiness is not a milestone on a map. It is the result of action. You don't wait to become her, to become that woman. You become her by moving before you are ready. And trust me, I know you. I can see you, women watching this. You have done enough getting ready. You have read all the books, you have taken the certifications, you have listened to all the podcasts, you have done all the planning in your mind or even practically. What you need right now is motion. You need to move. It doesn't have to be perfect. It can be very imperfect, messy, but brave and aligned action. Now, when I say action, I am not talking about it from the masculine way of taking action, right? Of like having to have all the boxes ticked before you go and before you do what you need to do. That's not what we're talking about. We're not talking about forcing yourself to push through. We are talking about choosing to move differently. As women, we don't need all the boxes ticked. We trust our intuitive pull. When we have this intuition, this feeling that we need to do something, and yes, sometimes it might be masked by a lot of external conditioning and limiting beliefs, but truly deep inside, we all know what we're meant for and what we want to do. So, as women, we need to trust that intuitive pull and we need to act on it even when we don't feel 100% ready. You need to lead with trust, and lead with self-belief. And there is this reframe that I really want you to think about, which is, I wrote it down actually. The more I wait to feel ready, the longer I delay the version of me who already exists. Think about it. Go and write it down if you want. I'm going to repeat it. The more I wait to feel ready, the longer I delay the version of me who already exists. What I want you to understand is this. Say you are in a corporate career and you have this dream of starting a business. Maybe that's something that's always been on your heart. You've always wanted to start a business, to be an entrepreneur, but you already have this corporate career and you're quite successful in it and you're financially secure and you are worried about going ahead and starting something if you're not fully ready, if you don't know exactly how to run that business, if you don't have a business plan, if you don't have that guarantee, that guaranteed income. Because say if you had to go down from full time to like part time in your career in order to progress that business, you might not have everything figured out. And then you might decide not to do it. You are ignoring the intuitive pull to go ahead and start a business. But that thing is always going to be on your heart. So it could be that in 2 years, you suddenly decide that it is time for you and you're starting the business no matter what. You hate your job, you're not feeling fulfilled, you want to do the business. Great. What happens, however, because you waited 2 years, these 2 years, you haven't only been set back 2 years, you've actually been set back much longer. It's not only those 2 years that you waited, because during those 2 years, what happened is you got further and further away from that version of you who has that successful business. Does that make sense? I hope I'm explaining myself correctly. But basically, it's not only those 2 years that you are set back, it's all the time that you could have become closer to your ideal self, your higher self, the version of you who has what you want. And then you have to work extra hard to become her because you've had all those extra limiting beliefs come on during this time, all those extra external conditionings around what you can or can't do. So that's what I want you to understand. The longer you wait to feel ready, the longer you will delay the version of you who already has everything that you want. You don't have to feel fearless, okay? It is scary to take action without having everything figured out. And you don't have to be perfect either. You just have to decide that you are done waiting. Because the moment that you say, I am done waiting, I am doing it anyway, your energy shifts. You step out of the older version of you, the version who just always has to wait, who's in a place where she's not fully happy, she's not fully fulfilled, she doesn't feel like she's achieved everything. You step out of her and you step into power, you step into that new timeline, that new version of yourself. And I promise you, everything that you want is on the other side of this. That woman is already waiting. You just need to reclaim her or to claim her. Now, I do have a few stories about this, starting with my business. So, when I started my business, let's even go back a little bit. When I started training for my business, nearly 3 years ago, I came across an ad in a natural health magazine that I was reading about a naturopathic health coach certification. Now, funny thing is, I'd probably seen that ad like a million times before, but only on that day did I finally kind of pay attention to it. And I read it and I remember thinking, oh my goodness, this is everything I've ever wanted to do. Because I used to work in academia. I did a PhD at the time. I'm still doing my PhD. I'm very nearly close to the end, hopefully. But I was teaching in academia. I had this very clear path ahead of me of finishing my PhD, working in academia. But I always had that niggle inside of me that knew that I was meant for more, that I wasn't truly fulfilled in my research and what I was doing in academia, that I wanted to be my own boss, that I wanted to impact a lot of people in a way that wasn't really possible for me in academia, at least not in a way that I wanted to. So I saw that ad, and what I did was the next day I called that naturopathic college. I signed up. It was 4 grand back then. Signed up on the spot, even more than 4 grand, maybe 4.5 grand. Signed up on the spot, didn't have anything figured out. I had a 2-month-old baby at the time. I was due to get back into work 2 months later and get back into my PhD 4 months later. I had a colicky baby. I had no help, but I just felt that pull and I signed up. A couple months later, I also signed up for a pre-postnatal fitness coaching certification because I wanted to coach specifically pre-postnatal moms. Those of you who have been following me for a while know that that's how I started. So I did those certifications. I started my Instagram account before I finished either of them. And I took on clients for free just to get that experience. And trust me when I tell you, at the beginning, I had no idea what I was doing, but I was so determined to be that person, to be that coach, to help women to feel fulfilled in my life and in my business that I just went ahead and I did it. Now, about probably like 8 months later, I was talking to my mom and a few of her friends, and she had a friend he actually passed away recently. He was a business consultant, like quite a successful one. And she told him, "Oh, do you know that Shiri started a business? She's now coaching postpartum moms." And he was a very direct person, very straight to the point, no filters really. And he said, "Okay, you'll change your business a million times." And I remember being like quite offended at the time and even quite angry, like, who is he? He doesn't even know me. Turned out he was right. I no longer coach exclusively postpartum moms, and I'm no longer only a fitness coach. But if I wouldn't have started my business back then, nearly 3 years ago, when I wasn't ready, if I didn't take on clients, figured out what I wanted to do in my business, what I felt truly passionate about, who I wanted to coach, what I wanted to help women with, if I wouldn't have started it back then, I probably now would still be in academia, still be teaching on a master's degree, still be miserable, unfulfilled, working extremely long hours with very little pay. What happened was because I started before I was ready and I had no idea what I was doing. And yes, I iterated my business a few times until I found what works. But now, at the age of 28, with an almost 3 year old, I have a business where I help women. I coach them on their mindset. I coach them on high performance, mainly entrepreneur and business women or women who aspire to be in those areas. That's just what I naturally attract. But if I wouldn't have started back, yeah, I don't know where I mean, I would probably still be in academia. And because I started then at the age of 25, 25, 26, yeah, 26, because I started then, before I was ready, I've had this flexibility and this time to figure things out, to understand what's working for me, what's not working for me, what I like, and find myself at the age of nearly 29 with a super successful, fulfilling business. So that was my first story. Second story is actually about my podcast, which I launched about a month and a half ago, I think. When I recorded in the first episode, I was not ready. And this is a story that I already told on the podcast before, so I'm going to try not to make it too long, but I wasn't ready. And for months, maybe even a year, I was thinking about starting a podcast. I myself love listening to podcasts and I love like consuming long form content. So I wanted to create that kind of content as well. And I kept thinking that I had to be perfect, right? So I kept thinking I had to have like 20 episodes mapped out and a whole launch strategy for the podcast and the perfect mic and the perfect equipment. And it took me a while till I started. But one day I was just like, I've had enough. I'm going to start this podcast no matter what. So I grabbed my mic, outlined what I wanted to say in the podcast, and I recorded it and I launched it a few days later. I didn't even have a second episode mapped out. I just went ahead and launched it. And do you know what happened off the back of it? Off the back of this like messy action that, I didn't feel prepared, but I did it anyway. A fellow coach that listened to my first podcast episode about identity shifting loved it so much that she invited me to give a paid workshop for her clients. And I got paid very nicely for that. So just from taking that messy action and recording a 20-minute podcast episode, I got rewarded big time, even though it wasn't perfect and even though I didn't feel ready. So the lesson is here. The shift doesn't come after success and after you know what's happening. The shift is what creates success. Okay, so you start, it's not perfect. You pivot, you learn, you refine and refine and refine until you find what works and until you get success. But if you don't start, you will never have that opportunity to refine and actually achieve that success. So here's what I want you to do. Think of something that you've been sitting on. It could be an idea, an offer, a next step, whatever it is. And I want you to ask yourself, I don't want you to ask yourself, what should I do to get there? I want you to ask, what would the version of me who already has this thing do today? Then go ahead and simply do it. No overthinking, no perfecting, no trying to figure out every single thing. Just a moment of aligned courage, aligned action, and messy action. Go ahead and do it. And I want you to anchor this phrase. I'm not ready, but I am doing it anyway. And that's what makes me her. That's what makes me the version of myself who already has everything that I want. And there is a timeline where you have everything you want. Your mornings feel super powerful. Your business or career flow. You are making a shit ton of money. You are loving your body. You look gorgeous. You are super confident. You are glowing. You are lit up. You're magnetic. You're on fire. That all is a possibility for you, not from hustle, not from pushing yourself, but from alignment, from listening to the intuitive pull, and from doing things before you feel ready. And the only thing standing between you right now and her, that version of you has achieved those goals, is the decision to move. So if this episode, this training lit something up in you and you're ready to stop waiting and move, before you feel ready, before it's perfect, I have created the most powerful 2-week container for this exact energy. And that is my identity shift intensive. This is where we collapse timelines between where you are now and the version of you who does the damn thing. And this is where we really quantum leap and we do things fast. So it's a 2-week container. It starts with a 60 to 90 minute where we figure out where you are, where you want to go. We do some subconscious rewiring, NLP techniques, and we also map out an aligned action plan for you. That means what steps you need to take next to make sure that you get that thing done. And it also includes a customized roadmap for you when it comes to routines, when it comes to nutrition, when it comes to fitness, so that you fuel your body in alignment and in accordance with that badass woman that you want to be. This is only 97 pounds, which is actually crazy when you think about it, because you get a 60 to 90 minute call, you get a 2-week one-on-one contact with me to integrate, you get a customized roadmap for your nutrition, for your fitness, for your routines, for your aligned action, and you rewire your entire identity. You step out of it as the woman who is confident, who is clear, who is magnetic, and who knows how to take action to finally reach her goals. So if this is something that you would like to do, and honestly, you'd be crazy not to want to do it, DM me the word identity and I will send you the details. Yay! This was so much fun. I have loved talking to you today. Bye for now.